This video is to show you how to master technical passages like that without all the frustration, headache, and zillions of hours of practicing. To demonstrate, I'm going to use this wicked scale from Prokofiev's Classical Symphony Movement No. 4. Step 1. It's probably no surprise that step 1 is to practice slowly. If you only ever practice things up to tempo, you probably kind of sound like this. Okay? You're just practicing in and ingraining in a bunch of tension in your fingers, tension in your face, tension in your body, and mistakes. So you're practicing mistakes over and over again instead of practicing it correctly over and over again. So guess what? When you go to perform, you're going to play those mistakes, that tension, all of that stuff is ingrained. So if you practice slowly with your metronome, then you can build in all these good habits right from the start. I suggest picking a speed on the metronome that's slow enough that you can play the entire passage with no mistakes, with no tension in your fingers, and you feel relaxed. Whatever that slow tempo is for you. So you want to be able to play it at that tempo at least 5 times or more in a row with no mistakes, no tension. It feels pretty good. Step 2 is to address any sound issues at this slow tempo before you go and speed it up. Just like practicing with a bunch of tension in your fingers gets ingrained over time, practicing with an improper sound, the wrong air speed, the wrong air direction, the wrong shape in your mouth, anything like that is just going to get ingrained into the excerpt as you practice it more and more. So what you want is to make sure that you kick all those bad habits to the curb right at the start and fix them at this super slow tempo. For an excerpt like this, air is huge. You need a ton of super fast air to move through that scale all the way up to the high D. If you're not blowing enough, it could sound like then your brain basically interprets that the sound isn't coming out because your fingers are wrong, and then you end up squeezing harder or adding more tension. So the key is to have a ton of fast air all the way up to the top. If you find at the slow tempo that you can't get to the end of the scale because you're running out of air too soon, then you could be wasting air by starting the scale much too loud. It's supposed to be nice piano dynamic to start. You can conserve the air and really use it right at the end. Other problems with this particular excerpt is that your embouchure could be too tight. Sometimes you even get that kind of sound if your embouchure is too tight. You could be too tight inside your mouth, which can cause some of the notes to crack. Okay, and maybe just you're not supporting enough. It takes a lot more support than often we even think is necessary. Step 3 is to move the tempo up very slowly and incrementally. Definitely no more than 5 or 10 clicks at a time, and you're not going to get it up to tempo in one day. When I was learning this excerpt, back when I was a student working towards a professional job, what I did, and the tactic that worked for me, was to spend about 5 minutes or so just on this passage every day that I practiced. 5 minutes, that's it. And I would set the metronome at that super slow tempo to start, and then move it up 1 click per day. So after about 30 days, I was 30 clicks faster than when I started. Maybe not quite up to tempo, but 30 clicks faster than when I started. And I had practiced it so incrementally that all the good habits that I was practicing in stuck, even at 30 clicks faster. Another 30 days later, I was 60 clicks faster than when I started. And again, everything was still there in my fingers, relaxed fingers, all the placement of my embouchure, my air support, all the shape inside my mouth, my throat, all of that stuff had been practiced in and was there for me 60 clicks faster. This wouldn't be the case if I had just day 1 went, okay, I started at 68, now I'm at 78, now I'm at 88, now I'm at 108, whatever. I would have probably just been getting tense and then gone back to putting those bad habits into the music. Other considerations could be you need to add the dynamics in and articulations, accents, anything like that, again, at those very, very slow tempos. Make sure you add that in early in the process so that when you're back up to tempo, that you don't even have to think about it. They're just there for you. Also, if you're moving along and you get to a speed that you're just stuck at and you can't get past, It could be that you need to break down the passage further. So a little bit of wood shedding in between notes. You know, maybe it's the C sharp to D. If you have to do that a whole bunch of times at the tempo you're stuck at, then start at the B. Adding notes as you go. Maybe it's the beginning of the scale. Maybe it's the middle of the scale. Okay, playing those notes over and over again, working your way out, then put it back together at that tempo. If it's still stuck, you probably went a little too fast, a little too soon, okay? So there's no harm in backing up to a slower tempo that even if yesterday you could play it at 125, today it's just not working, back it up again, start slower again, put that relaxation back into it, and I promise it will be there for you in the future. So if you found this video helpful, please of course subscribe to our YouTube channel, but you can also find us on School in our free flute community. That's for anyone who plays the flute. You can come join us there. We have different monthly themed topics where we talk about different flute fundamentals wherever you're at in your flute playing journey.